Welcome to the Backlash at Backlash.com. My name is Rod Van Mecklin, and in this video I'm going to read from a 1996 article, Domestic Violence, Women's Ways. The full article is linked below. 1996, Bellevue, Washington. The Wolfpack Story. In Secrets About Men Every Woman Should Know, Barbara DeAngelis, who was John Gray's ex-wife and source of most of the few insights in Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus that do not pander to sexist stereotypes, she tells a little story about how prehistoric men guarded their cave-dwelling families from wolves. While the wolf pack howled outside the cave and his frightened family, paralyzed with fear, huddled inside the cave, the equally frightened caveman had to set aside his fear, ignore the wailing children, and focus on staving off the wolves. If his woman made a scene about it, caterwauling with fear and distracting him from the more important task at hand, he could smack her one and tell her to shut up, because under those conditions, her whining could get them all killed. These days, of course, wolf packs generally don't threaten us, and men who strike women are scorned, as they should be. But the verbal violence of women continues unabated as they find new ways to assault the psyches of men with their cries for attention, demands for vulnerability, and when men do allow themselves to be distracted and open up, their scolding evaluations and admonitions that said men must change, not feel what they feel, and not be who they are. It's time for the caveman to speak up. If Women in Love, Sherhite relates the tale of a woman whose boyfriend was experiencing a string of bad luck. When the going gets tough, a man's got to do what this man did, focus on getting back on his feet. In a man's world, which is the real world, if someone knocks you down, that's their fault. If you don't pick yourself up, that's your fault. So what did his girlfriend do? Quote, "My lover lost his job due to the company closing, had the wheels stolen off his Corvette, and learned his father was dying all in a 4-month period. He was on edge. I tried to push him to reveal his feelings, and he struck out in violence instead and slapped me." Close quote. So let me get this straight. He was on edge, so she pushed him? Hello? Is anybody home? She hammered him with verbal blows until he burst. For crying out loud, violence is violence, and we need to once again recognize the ways in which women abuse men. Women's ways. Decades ago, the various ways women commit violence, both subtle and gross, were recognized. Unfortunately, society reacted with derision, treating male victims with scorn and female perpetrators with amusement. Icons of female brutality have included Mama wielding a rolling pin, chatterboxing females jabbering men to distraction, little girls striking little boys, then crying foul when the boys strike back, the third-party violence of the vixen who provokes men to fight over her, the backbiter whispering malicious rumors, the arctic attitude of the woman who keeps the cold shoulder and silent treatment in her arsenal, the woman who makes her husband the bad guy to the children by scolding, "Just wait until your father gets home," the emotional violence of women who pout, throw tantrums, complain that their husbands are not successful enough, or that they spend too much time working and not enough time catering to her whims and wishes, the tease, coquette, the sharp-tongued, gray-pallid, French bun-bedecked biddy who, from her lofty perch atop the pedestal of female moral superiority, clucks, scolds, and punishes boys as she protects her little angels. To these we can now add women who file false charges of assault, physical abuse, sex abuse, or rape, women who physically abuse their husbands or boyfriends, or who provoke men to violence, then get away with it by relying on the indifference of the courts toward male victims. The economic violence of women who see sexual harassment in innocent compliments and use them to destroy a man's career. Women in management and HR positions who use affirmative action to help less qualified female applicants leapfrog past more qualified male applicants. Deny it happens. Women who actively use or turn a blind eye to a justice system that punishes men more harshly than women for the same crimes. Women who perpetuate the feminist lie that women are a minority when it suits their purposes, then turn around and complain that women should be running things because they represent 52% of the population. And the list goes on. Every normal person knows women, like men, are subject to the same impulses to commit good and evil, and act on them, not always in the same way, but just as often. What will come of a society in which the evil women do is largely ignored while the evil men do is amplified in the public eye? A culture that is unwilling to set aside the politics of confrontation, treat one another like human beings, and work to resolve the issues that confront us, rather than indulge in the demonization of the opposition? What will become of the cave woman and her cave kids when her cave man stalks off in disgust and leaves her all alone? That's all for now. Check out the other videos, subscribe to the channel. For the Backlash at Backlash.com, my name is Rod Van Mechelen.